Let's stay with that visit. And Dr. Barbara Odudu Magoha, the widow of former Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, described her late husband as a man who she chose to settle down with because of his family values. Now, she took a walk down memory lane earlier today, remembering him as a man who had locals in Nigeria, where she comes from, questioning why she chose him.
From Nigeria to Kenya with love sums up the story of how a young Nigerian lady, Barbara Odudu, would marry her Kenyan suitor 4 decades ago.
I want to remove that serious face of Magoha so that you know the other side of Magoha. Exactly 1 month after we met, he started telling people we are going to get married. And that was the first time we had a quarrel. I said, how can you do that? He said, no, I know you will not accept because I'm not a Nigerian. So you go and tell them why you can't marry me. So when we continued, got married. When I was pregnant with my son, I was in between life and death with my blood pressure. He told me if this is what pregnancy is all about, this is closed, this case is closed.
Perhaps that explains why the late Professor George Magoha and his widow Barbara have one son, Dr. Michael Magoha.
And when I had my son, because of the blood pressure and everything, I didn't have any milk. You can't imagine, by 6:30, I had 2 liters of fruit juice, squeezed by him every morning before going to work. And the others used to say, what type of a man is this? Considering the fact that he was not a Nigerian, that's a story for another day.
She reminisced on their memories together as a young couple.
Those days, we Nigerians marrying from the same village was the norm because somehow we were never related. So to hear that I left the village, left the town, left the county, those days we still call them states, we call them states. Left the other states, left the whole of Nigeria. It was like, you are crazy. Everybody said, you are crazy. What's wrong with you? In fact, there was this slang that what is there in Sokoto is there in Shokoto. Sokoto is the farthest point northwest of Nigeria. Shokoto. Written the same way, but pronounced S-O-K-O-T-O. Shokoto means trouser in Yoruba language. So they say, what you are looking for so far away is here. Where are you?
In their years together, despite their cross-cultural marriage, Barbara Magoha says her husband formed a close bond with her mother.
His closeness to my mom was so strong that when my mom passed on, it was like he had lost a part of him. He almost broke down in church.
And on their quiet moments together and his deepest thoughts?
So he was very jovial. Behind that screen was an extremely jovial man. And he used to tell me, I must go before you. Because if you go before me, I will not last. That was always his prayers. So throughout those years, those 20 years, when I'm sick, I'm praying to God not for me to get well for my sake, but for his sake. Because if anything were to happen, any exams or whatever, I know within 10 minutes, everything would be over. That's how close we were.
Away from his work schedule, the former Education CS valued family.
He always said family came first. He believed in family. From the first day, he said, if I'm up and my family is down, then I'm down. And that's what made me to get involved with him.
He was a loyal man, she says. Together, they made a strong team.
Saying I'll miss him is an understatement. But I know we used to work like two major generals. I used to call him Major General. He's commanding the 1st Battalion and I'm in the 2nd Battalion. So when he has finished, usually during the war, sorry, I know a bit of war because I experienced Biafra firsthand. During the war, if they are going to capture a city like my city, it was Biafra in the morning, Nigeria in the afternoon, then 3 a.m. things change. But whenever they went to capture a city, the 1st Battalion will go, and then the 2nd Battalion will now go when everything is sorted out. So I used to prepare him. I said, okay, 1st Battalion you go, then you come back for the 2nd Battalion. So now the 1st Battalion is gone. I think I have now to put on the shoes of the 1st Battalion.
As she finished, she said she would soldier on. That's what he would have wanted her to do. Lillian Muli.